Very good afternoon. You're right. The last few years, a lot of challenges and changes have occurred in the way the business was being conducted. I think there are many ways in which organizations have adapted. I can probably look at two or three key things which we have, done to adapt to this kind of a change. I think the first change which I can think about is the way we service the consumer. So within the supply chain, we were earlier working on something known as a forecasting model, and forecast is there for what needs to be sold to the customer, and for that then the whole supply chain works how to service that forecast. From that forecasting system, we have now moved to more of a replenishment system where we have actually defined safety stock levels for all the nodes within the supply chain, and the whole organization of supply chain works towards fulfilling those norms rather than only a forecast. So that is one big change which we have done. I think the second change, if I have to think about, is the whole go-to-market strategy. So we are all aware that earlier general trade used to be bulk of the business, and then over the last decade or so, we saw that modern trade, the importance was rising. However, what has changed during pandemic and slightly before that is how e-commerce has become more important. So earlier, of course, e-commerce used to be a discounting model of doing business, where you give discount and people were actually shifting to that more. But during pandemic, we realized that it is actually also one of the safer modes of, basically delivery. So when people realize that it's a safer mode, of course, the transactions through e-commerce increased. That was probably the only mode which was available during the lockdown. So, but now what we see is that organizations have also understood the importance of e-commerce more than what they were understanding earlier. So now organizations want to take control of e-commerce, and they are now launching their own platforms, own commerce, so direct to consumer kind of a platform. So Dabur is also focusing on that now, and very soon you will see that the dabur.com is available today, and very soon you will see our business growing multifold through that channel. So this is another change. Apart from this, of course, in go-to-market, we are also experimenting with direct to retail. So during the pandemic, we observed that sometimes the distributors were not available or not reachable because of the lockdowns. So to take better control over our supply chain, we are also experimenting with direct to retail model of delivery. This is the second change. I think the third one is how the organization looks at digitization per se. So it is no more a fancy term. It is becoming more and more important for the organization. We know it is an imperative. So as an organization, Dabur has actually made a digital council, and one of the things which the digital council does is it has actually tracked all the nodes within the organization and looked at which of the processes or nodes are completely digitized and which are not. So whatever is not digitized till now, there is a council which is looking at how to fast track the digitization on all those nodes and to make sure that the whole Dabur ecosystem is completely digitized. So these are some of the changes which have happened. Top three I have just focused upon. Some people may differ than what I am going to say, but in my belief, if we see the journey of e-commerce, as we were talking earlier also, e-commerce actually, it was a discounted offering kind of a model which was there earlier, and that's how we saw growths in e-commerce, because deep discounts were being offered, cash was being burnt by the organization. That's how e-commerce growth was happening over a period of time. But in the recent past, we have seen that because it is a safe mode of delivery also, that's why consumers were preferring e-commerce. Going forward, I think the importance will continue, but the growths will kind of even out, and we will never, or never is not the right word, but maybe we may not see the 50% or 100% kind of growths which we were seeing in the past. The growths will become more reasonable. However, I think What needs to also evolve is the technology per se, things like virtual reality, and now we talk about augmented reality. So, the technological advancement and the ability of technology to give a feel of the product is something which has to, change going forward. And the next growth of e-commerce has to come through that. The moment there will be change in technology and some of the lacunas of e-commerce where you are not able to actually touch and feel the product, once those are able, the industry is able to overcome those, we will see the next phase of growth in e-commerce. It will remain an important channel, but I see the growth will kind of taper down.